Hello, everyone, and welcome once again back to your seat at the adult table, the show where everything is on limits, not off limits. And if it is off limits or you have a really shitty opinion, you will be banished to the children's table where you belong with your shitty and stupid opinions.
Did you know the world is flat?
Listen, Ms. Brooks, you've got to stop smoking crack.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Really.
Haven't had a good mention of her in a while. But I, of course, am Trav, your host here at the adult table, joined, as always, by my intrepid co-host, the incomparable, the man who needs no introduction. Yet I try to and come up with a new one every week, and I'm not going to be able to do it this week, other than the nickname I, most deservingly bestowed upon him, the one, the only, the Vanilla Gorilla, Mr. Joey Fats.
What's up, bud?
Nothing.
I like the Vanilla Gorilla. I like it.
Dude, it's so fit.
It's probably the least offensive thing I've ever been called.
Because it just makes sense. Like,
And that's saying something.
Even before you successfully benched 500.
Yes, this is true.
Just based on
before I successfully benched 500, what a lot of people don't know is that my PR before that was 475. It wasn't like I was far off.
Right, yeah. It's not like
But
you
just hit
jumped,
that-
like
just hit
150
that
pounds.
one little
Mhm.
even number,
It's
and it's just like
it's
like-
that round
it's the-
even
it's
number,
the-
2 zeros at the end.
yeah. What's that meme from The Emperor's New Groove, when he's just like.
Yeah.
Like just like music to my ears. Yes.
Yes.
It's nice. It's nice. But there's been a lot of music to my ears in the last 7 days or 14 days since we've been on.
I mean, nothing really happened since we were last on.
I mean, there really wasn't much. I mean, there was some, some people did some things, maybe I think there's a bunch of pissed off Persians right now, but does anybody care?
There's actually a lot of really happy Iranians, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Facts.
We'll get to that in a minute. I think first off, we just spoke off stream. We brought it up before. I wasn't really following it as much as I was last year, and even last year I wasn't following it up until maybe halfway through. But Karen Reed trial part 2,
Deuce.
it concluded, and
Finally.
it went the way I thought it should, as
It went
far
the
as
way-
I'm concerned.
It went the only way it could have gone.
The only
I
other,
mean-
within reason, the only other way it could have happened was another mistrial, which would have just been
Which at that
preposterous,
point-
really, because of how bad the prosecution shot themselves in the foot this time.
And then that would have allowed the door to be open for them to prosecute to try her again.
Well,
And
there will be the civil suit by the family, where
which
they
they'll
don't.
lose.
Yes, they will.
They'll get dunked on.
Mhm.
And that'll be thrown out because especially if it's not in front of a crooked ass fucking judge like this was,
Yes, and
then this will be over in about 6
they
minutes.
should be taking the civil suit up with the police department.
Yeah. 6 minutes, Slim Shady, you're on.
And ultimately, I mean, we discussed that before. That's one of the things we did mention while discussing the case this time around, was that regardless of what happens here, we were hoping for her not to be convicted of, murder or manslaughter. She walked on those.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a little bit 2 weeks ago or in one of the previous shows. We talked about a little bit about how the the OUI charge was what was like kind of hanging people up, and
Right.
we were worried that was gonna be like the hang up, and I think it ultimately was the hang up, but it was it's such a nothing charge because it's gonna get tossed on appeal because.
It's a slap on the wrist, even if she does get fully charged with it.
But Trev,
compared
you
to
and I
what-
both know and I think I spoke to this. I don't know if it was on Row One Seat One last Tuesday or on the show 2 weeks ago. And forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I had my car get totaled in front of my house, parked.
Mhm.
My car was parked in front of my house. It got totaled by my neighbor, who would have been what I think was his 5th or 6th OUI.
Right.
and-
Yes, you did bring this up, but
Yeah,
it's relevant.
and
So
because he got out of the car and the keys weren't in the car and nobody saw him actually do it. Like even though we saw him pulling away and everything else from the accident,
yeah.
the cop was like, "Well, I don't know what you really want me to do here," and it's like, so if that can't get you in trouble for an OUI, then I don't know how coming back like 2 years later and being like, well, we had you on video surveillance consuming alcohol at this bar, and then we know you drove home. So, like, that's some straight out of fucking, like, communist China CCP fucking, like, Big Brother shit that, like, that we don't stand for in
Yes,
this country.
it's
Like,
just
nah.
as far as being charged with an OUI, they didn't go through any of the procedures to do that
Correct.
at the time. So, you know, they had
So it'll
bigger.
get tossed on appeal.
But
But the fact that it was like, it was such a hang up for apparently there was like a juror, maybe two, that were really hung up that were like, well, we can't just charge her with nothing. It's like, what do you mean you can't just charge her with nothing? She's not guilty of anything.
yeah,
And they're like, well, she's guilty of something. And it's like, no, like, that's not how this is supposed to work. You can't point at a person and then go find the crime. You have to find the crime and then point it and then go find the person. That's it. You're doing it backwards.
yeah, and mostly because in the case of the OUI thing, it was already hours after the incident happened. Granted, they were all shit-cocked.
Yeah, every one of them.
So if they did administer a BAC to her at the time when they showed up at the scene, which was, again, hours after, she probably would have had a high BAC, possibly over the legal limit, but...
Yeah, but she could have just, she very well could have been just used the excuse, well, I went home and drank more.
Yeah, and because
Like-
she wasn't driving afterwards. It was...
Right. I wasn't, my blood alcohol level wasn't
No, she
at
was-
this point when I allegedly hit John O'Keefe because you didn't give me a breathalyzer at the scene because there was no scene.
Yeah, well, she
And now
was
you-
driving when they were looking for him. But then, you know, first responders show up after they discovered the body,
Right.
and
But it
it
still
was
has
never
nothing to do
brought
like,
up.
all right, cool, you want to hit me with an OUI for that? Breathalyze me or whatever. But
That's when
it's,
it could have been administered, but it wasn't. They
yeah,
already,
I'm pretty
they
sure
were
a
dealing
judge
with a
is going
dead
to look at
body.
that and be like, yeah, no.
They were dealing with a dead body at that point, so their priorities were, you know, on completely fucking this woman over, basically.
100%. I mean, it was in one of the texts that got leaked by, I forget what the guy, was it Higgins or somebody who was like, if she pleads out, this goes away. If she fights it, it's gonna be an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And she fought it, and here we are 2.5 years later, like 2 years later, whatever it is, like, and it's been nothing. I mean, an episode would be a fucking understatement, because what this was, I mean, it's so funny too, because I got my annual tax bill in the mail. You know,
Yeah.
like my thing to show like my taxes in the city going up and everything, and all my every year my taxes go up, so my mortgage goes up. You know, a couple bucks here, there, whatever. And I'm looking at it and I'm just going, and I'm like, and what the fuck did my taxes go up for this year? Like, what the fuck? And my wife just goes, Karen, retrial. And I fucking died. And I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. There it is. There's like $4 million the state, or $6 million the state paid to prosecute this woman just to get an OUI. Like, it's the most expensive OUI in history. It's absurd.
It's, yeah, absolutely. All for that. I mean, they should have got it. The first jury should have gotten it right the first time. Obviously, in everyone's opinion. I'm glad it had the outcome. I was able to watch it while at work as it happened, because it was towards the end of the workday, and I had to drop something off to my boss's office, which is easiest to get to through the break room. And the owner of the company and a bunch of other people are just sitting there. And they're like, "Oh, it's about to." They're about to
here we
come.
go.
They reached a
Like
verdict,
OJ.
and I was like, "Shit! Well, yeah. I guess if y'all are watching it, then I will too." And yeah,
Yeah, it was. I was on my way into work, and obviously I work in a prison, and it was funny because I was inside the prison while the verdict was being read. Like, I knew it was coming up, but I was already on my way in,
Mhm.
so I couldn't sit and wait in my car to listen to it. I had to go in, and as I was walking in, you could just hear the eruption of cheers from every cell block, and they're all screaming, not guilty, not guilty," and they're all cheering.
Mhm.
Because obviously, and you know, if you work in my line of work long enough, every single convict I've ever met is innocent. None of them did it. It was all a setup. It was all a railroading, whatever. Like, you know,
it's
what I mean? They're
all a bunch of didn't do nothings.
Yep, exactly. And so but like, the funny thing is like, and I think I said this too, and again, I'm probably repeating myself a little bit, but this had me second guessing a lot of the stories that I've heard from some of these convicts over the course of my career, when they talk about how oh, I was fucked by this racist cop and this racist judge and like all this bullshit. And they fucking threw the book at me on some dumb shit and they got me on this and
Mm-hmm.
made me plead to this and da 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 da. And I'm like, and I couldn't afford to defend myself and blah, 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 whatever. And it actually gets me thinking, like, damn, I wonder if some of these guys were actually like telling the truth.
I'm sure
Like,
the number's higher than what you
how many
think.
guys at my prison got Karen Reeded. I mean, I'm sure it's a very small percentage,
But higher than what you think.
but it's probably higher than what you think. Yeah, exactly. But they know, like, everybody knows, like, I mean, listen, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist. You don't have to be Elon Musk to fucking know a crooked cop when you see one, right? Like, we all know 1 or 5 or 12, whatever, depending on how many cops you actually know. But, like, you know, probably, like, a good quarter of them are come out, you know, do something crooked at some point in their career. It's just kind of the par for the course.
It happens.
It does. And like, go listen to what was that podcast that came out a couple months ago about was it Rat City or something? What was about New Bedford?
Oh, is there one?
Oh, what the hell was the name of it? Somebody help me out. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm not aware of
But
it.
anyway, it was all about like a bunch of like crooked like it was all like uncovering like a bunch of crooked shit that happened in the New Bedford PD, and it's like they named like the first episode. I'm like, dude, I used to go to the gym with that guy. Like, what the fuck?
The first step, you're like, oh,
I know that guy. Holy shit! Like he was doing this. Like, you know, going down to like the docks in uniform and like shaking down illegals and drug dealers and all this other shit. Like even though he's not on the clock, and like going shaking them down, taking their drugs, their money, and shaking them all down, then just leaving.
Yeah.
And just taking it for himself. I'm like,
yeah, and doing
like,
you know whatever
damn,
he
I
wants
used
with
to
it.
work out with that guy. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's not taking it to the evidence.
Snitch City? Was that the name of it? I gotta go back. I forget. I should have listened to it all by now, but I haven't.
Is it on Spotify?
I don't know, actually. I would assume so. But it was like something like Snitch City or something like that. Like, but it was pretty wild. But like, people would come up to me all the time, like, yo, did you listen to this episode? Like, this dude was in. I'm like, do you remember this guy? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, he was this. And I was like, holy shit, no way. So we all know crooked cops.
Yeah.
We all know cops that
Oh
like,
shit! I just had a beer with him yesterday.
yeah, like you're like, oh fuck, like, guess I better like, oh, glad he's on my side. You know what I mean?
Right.
For now.
Well, I bought the beer too for him, so he owes me one.
Yeah, you fucking owe me. But it's just funny, dude, like how like you go through all this stuff and like you can work a whole career in law enforcement. And unfortunately, even in my short time in this career, I have already run into and been met with more crooked people than I really care to know. I mean, people that have been fired, ambushed by the state police, you know, as they're walking in to punch in. And the state police come and grab you and take you out in cuffs. Because
You
they're
sure
bringing...
that wasn't ice?
No, because they're bringing drugs into the prison.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
they've
you
been being
can't have that.
investigated. And you're like, and you look at some of the people and you're like, wait, him? Her? Like, what? No way. And you're like, damn, dude. You're like,
But
it's
then
true.
it starts to make sense too, because it's like, well, then they had me tricked. I wouldn't have suspected them at all.
Listen, I'll put it to you this way. One guy, the one that got me the most, I can't say names or divulge too much
Yeah, no,
because
that's
I'm still employed there. But we had one guy where if you had asked me to rank a list of like 1 through 500 of everybody that I suspected, like from being the most, like who I think is the most likely to be bringing shit in for cons, like drugs and whatnot, to the least likely, I would have put myself higher on the list than this guy. Like, and I don't bring anything in. Like, I'm a 0. I'm a -0. Like, there's no chance. Like, no way in hell I'm throwing away my 6-figure career over $1,500 or $2,500.
yeah, you're not a fucking
time.
idiot.
Right. I'm not retarded. Like, you know, contrary to popular belief, you know, but no, it's this dude. This one caught me so off guard, and I literally saw him cuffed up in the parking lot as I was pulling in. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, this is wild, dude. I'm like, this is absolutely fucking wild. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it was shocking to say the least, and heartbreaking at the same time, because this is a guy that you put a lot of faith in. You thought like, yep, he's got my back. Like,
Yep.
nowhere. It is a very demoralizing feeling as somebody who upholds the law and upholds the rules and the regulations and does things the right way, to find out that somebody that you were very close with or very tight with was somebody you didn't even know.
Yeah, and someone you also regarded as doing their job well. And
I mean, I can say this part because I don't think it'll get me in trouble. He was our head union steward. Like,
oh yeah, so not just
so he's up there. He's in there every week fighting for shit that we're asking for.
yeah.
And meanwhile, he's bringing drugs into the prison. Like what the fuck is this? But he had the perfect cover. You know what I mean? Like it was everything just worked. It worked out for him. So, I mean, not ultimately in the end it didn't,
yes,
but
it did until it didn't.
yeah, I'm sure it was good. But that's the thing, and they always teach you this like right off the rip, like when you're going through the academy and everything else. They're like, don't say yes. The minute you say yes, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, if a con asks you, like, hey, like, I see you got that extra like orange in your bag. Like, can I get that? The answer is always no.
Yeah.
No matter what. Because as soon as you say yes to that, you've now said yes to everything they ask you for from that point on, whether you realize it or not. And that's what they are. They're cons. That's in the name. Convict. They're con artists. They will manipulate you emotionally, mentally, everything. Like, and they will get whatever they want out of you.
Yeah, and they don't have access to everything like free people who aren't incarcerated have. So everything to them
is a necessity.
Yes.
It's life or death to them. Whereas to you, it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, here, have a Clementine. Like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, once you show that literal weakness of being like, oh yeah, sure, you can have, like, that's it. They're all gonna walk all over you,
and
or at least know that they can, and you're easily breakable.
Yep, and it happens so much more often than you realize, and it's never the ones you suspect either. Like, I mean, granted, and I don't want to I won't go into a huge rant about it, but like, you know, the amount of female officers that get walked off, you know, that which is like being like when the state police come in or the IPS or whoever, like depending on what it is, will literally walk you. They'll come to your post, walk you off the job, and escort you out the front door and be like, "You're detached. See you later. Go home. We'll call you when it's time for your hearing." And you're like, "What did I do?" The amount of female, it's more. I feel like it happens more often with females, but like. I mean, a girl I sat next to in the academy got fired, got walked off, and fired from her job because she was like giving cons lap dances in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, and like they joke about it in the kitchen. They're like, you know, I mean, in the academy they don't joke about it, but they're like, look around. They're like, there's at least 10 of you in here that are going to get fired for bringing shit in, doing inappropriate things with cons, like whatever, like. 10% of you are going to get fucked. Are going to lose your job because of something stupid. Don't be that guy. And sure as shit, man. Like I think there's like at least 2 or 3 people now from my academy that have fallen out because of that.
Not everybody is ultimately equipped to be in, you know.
No, they're not.
Law enforcement or, you know.
And that brings me kind of full circle back to my original point. Is that these cops, these Boston PD, these Canton PD, the state police that were involved, the ATF was involved. Like, you have multiple agencies involved with this Karen Reed case that were all crooked, that were all on the take in one way or another. And some of them will say, well, you know, it's a code, man. Like, you don't understand, man. Like, until you're in the job, like, you always have to have your brother's back. And it's like, nah, man, like.
So that code takes, like, supersedes the oath that you took to.
Exactly. Like, nah.
In our case, the Commonwealth. Like,
I straight told my coworkers, I'm like, listen, man, don't put me in a bad spot. I'm going to play the part. Like, I ain't losing my job for you. You want to do something stupid, that's on you. Don't do it in front of me. I'm not going to rat you out. I'm not going to rat you out, but I'm not going to lie for you.
But don't put me in the position where.
Yeah. Don't put me in a spot where it's my job or.
Yeah.
Or lying or trying to help you out, because
that's
honestly,
not your goddamn fault. That's on them for being fucking stupid.
90% of the people that I work with right now, I'm never going to talk to you again after the day after I retire. You know, I'll see you the day my last day at work, and then I'll probably never talk to 90% of you ever again. So what you think of me really doesn't matter anyway.
And hey, everybody, thanks for the cake and the $100 worth of scratch tickets. I didn't win shit.
See you later. See you never.
Yeah.
You know. But there are 10% of, like, you know, guys that, like, I'm ride or die with. You know what I mean? That I have that are my boys. But that's different. But it's like, but at the same time, I wouldn't expect them if I did something stupid. I'm not expecting them to lie for me. I'm not expecting them to go down with the ship. Why? It's not their ship.
Yeah.
You know, so this bro code amongst cops and everything else, like I think it's just a bunch of bullshit. And unfortunately, I think it undermines the overall level that the public trust that we have in law enforcement, and we've seen it over the last, especially over the last decade and a half now.
Yeah.
It, the divider in chief, Chocolate Stalin, really started pushing back on this and basically making cops out to be the bad guys. When again, 98%, 99% of cops are good people. They want to help. They want to do stuff. And I mean, when I say cops, I mean law enforcement in general, whether it's, from security guards to corrections to whatever. George Zimmerman's all the way up to, fucking Tom Holman. That they all mean well, and they all want to do well, and they all want to serve the community and help. But at the same time, there is a 1% of them that just suck. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like that's every job ever. And it is what it is. So people just tend to suck sometimes. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this Karen Reed case put it on full display. You have not only a bunch of cops, but you have multiple agencies, their wives, their girlfriends, their friends, you know what I mean? Their nieces, nephews, their family, all trying to cover up for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, for what? And that is the only thing that I think that is going to that gives me hope, is that we're going to get a conclusion to this case at some point. I don't know how quick it's going to be, but at some point we'll get a conclusion to this, because somebody in that the McAlbert clan there is going to crack.
Well, didn't one of them just spill a bunch of beans, or like recant some of the shit that he said while on the stand?
Well, they've been backtracking and recanting and changing their stories basically since, because you remember there was two different interviews. Like they got interviewed by the feds. They testified to the feds, and then they testified
to a grand jury and lied
in the last, and then the grand jury in the last trial, and a lot of their testimonies don't match up.
No, and exactly as soon as they admitted to perjury, then they are no longer a credible witness. Like nothing they say.
If that's you or I, Trav, we're toast. We're done. They're tossing us in cuffs and get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You're being held in contempt until we can figure out what to do with you.
Yeah.
You're done. You're gone.
In a federal case too. So it's like that's bear more the appropriate weight in terms of what that means within our legal system. But yeah, didn't see that happen.
Nope.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I too am optimistic that we will see a resolution and true justice and closure for the O'Keefe family. Because
ultimately that's what this is about, right?
Let's not forget, an innocent man died.
On the fact that a young man lost his life.
An upstanding officer and human being by all accounts. Like, he seems like he was a great guy.
Sure.
Yeah, let's fucking get to the bottom of this, because
let's figure out who killed him.
Okay, so we've determined that Karen Reed didn't do it. So what are you gonna do? Let this case go cold? No.
No, and do you think, and maybe, and I mentioned this to my wife, because obviously my wife is super heavy into this, and she was like trying to give me a bunch of like cliff notes and talking points for tonight too, and like stuff that she was like, oh, if you're gonna bring this up, don't forget about this, and don't forget about this, and I'm like, and so she was like kind of coaching me up on it, because she's way more into it than like I am from like a day-to-day, like she's all over the TikTok reels. I mean,
yeah, I don't follow any true crime that much. Like, I enjoy the content, but I'm not like, oh my god, I have to stay minute to minute. Like,
yeah, she has been like all in on this case since basically I introduced her to it, and because again, I was a Turtle Boy guy long before this case started, and I love Aiden's work, because again, he did the work he did, taking down, not taking down, but like going after like Shirley Wong at the Boston Globe, and the Bob Murchison story about when they got Jerry Callahan and Kirk Minahan fired from WEI because they refused to play along with the transgender and sports thing, and basically, John Henry, that fucking cuck, who ultimately was the one that basically allowed Kirk and Callahan to be fired, and it was like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, but I've been listening to Turtle Boy long before that, and following Turtle Boy long before that, to the point like people used to text me, like people used to come up to me and ask me, like, and I'm flattered that people even thought this. But people come up to me like, "Yo, are you Turtle Boy?"
Yeah, I
And I'm
can
like,
I can see
nah.
why some people might,
Right. I'm like,
take
no,
that as
like,
a guess.
I'm not that like. He's much more. How do I say this without? Because he's very good at his job, and he's excellent at uncovering things. But he's much more. He's much more apt to take the low hanging fruit than I am. Like I won't go after people's like looks. I won't go after people's financial status. You know what I mean? Like I don't find pleasure in that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was always the
go
fat kid
after
growing
their
up,
character, go after their
yeah,
opinions, their
go after
ideals.
being a bag of shit. But like you don't have to be a fat, low, like poor piece of shit. You can just be a piece of shit.
Yes.
I was always the fat kid growing up, so I very rarely, if ever, go after people based on their looks. You know what I mean? Like I feel like to me, like that's like a very like just shallow, like D- kind of fucking insult.
It's when you basically have nothing to bring to the actual argument at hand.
Correct. It's like racism. Like if I want to, if I want to like just get a bunch of people wound up, I can say a bunch of racist shit. But that's not fun. That's easy. That's just like stealing candy from a baby. Have some nuance to your shit. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm somewhere between Gerald Broflovsky in the trolling episode and the Prime Minister of Denmark. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not like to the point of like going and taking over a country, to expose everybody for being shitty online.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have more nuance than just like photoshopping dicks in people's mouths. Although that is really funny.
I mean, I'll still like if somebody else posts something like that, I will save it and then use it later. But I'm not spending time making it.
Yeah, no, it's not my forte. So I like that. Like if I'm gonna go after somebody, I want it to be, worth my effort and worth going after. But my point is, I've been listening to Turtle Boy for a lot longer than I think most people realize. And then when he broke the Karen Reed thing, because I'd always been a big fan of his, when Kirk and Callahan started having him on, when he started exposing Bob Murchison and Shirley Long from the Boston Globe for their transgender bullshit, their transgender activism, where they were like, no, men should be able to play in women's sports, which we'll get into that in a little bit too. More great victories for this administration through the Supreme Court. But regarding that, but they went through all that. Like that's when I became a Turtle Boy guy. And that was when I was like, fuck yeah, I'm a Turtle Rider. Like, let's go. And he was right. And every time he would say something, he was right. And it kept coming true. And like people were like, hey, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, it doesn't matter who he is, dude. The point is he's accurate. And he might not always be first, but he's always the most accurate. And then the Karen Reed thing broke. And it was like, holy shit. And I still remember the tweet that saying, like, I'm looking into one of, this could be the biggest scandal / cover-up in Massachusetts law enforcement history. Like, stay tuned.
Yeah, because even within the state, it didn't gain so much traction until he started talking about it. Like, specifically...
No, he was the driving force behind making this front page news.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And people weren't willing to give him credit for it either, which is hilarious.
I've heard other people give him credit for it. Which
the mainstream media wouldn't give him credit.
No, not that.
They wouldn't name Aiden Kearney Turtle Boy Sports. They'd be like, a blogger from Worcester reported. Like, you're like, really can't give his name? Like, come on. But it was probably because their fucking nephew got fucking busted for like abusing food stamps or something out in Springfield and. He uncovered it, and they were mad about it.
Yeah, probably.
Like what was his favorite? Gutter Muppet. That was one of his great terms.
I use that.
That's an absolute fucking. That's an A+ fucking character assassination term right there.
Mm-hmm.
Gutter Muppet. Like we all know the Muppets and what a joke they are, and you belong in the gutter with them.
But yeah, you're like. Oscar the Grouch? You're like him, but he's got like some class on you.
Yeah, you're below him somehow.
He at least has like a domicile.
Yeah, he has a candle living. You ain't got shit.
Yeah, you're in the gutter.
But it's again just to bring it back full, like kind of back to the original point. Like these crooked cops need to go down, And I think, because I think right now, and maybe I don't know how much you've been paying attention to this. I'm sure you have, but we haven't talked about it yet. So I'm kind of blindsiding you with this. But I don't know if you've noticed, like, there's been like kind of like a general, I don't want to say outrage, but like vocal anger towards Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI, and the things that they're not doing yet, whether it be the Epstein list or prosecuting these people that are carrying out that are doing these committing these crimes that usually get just shoveled under the bus because the Democrats are in charge. And they're kind of just not coming. Nothing's coming to fruition, and everybody's kind of hanging Kash Patel and Dan Bongino out to dry right now.
Yeah, because there's other more important things to take care of.
Right. I agree 100%. Like there's a reason why like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel didn't just angle themselves into this job because they wanted to take the job and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna put my bags down and call it a day. They took this job because they wanted to affect change. Mm-hmm. They're doing it the right way, which means they're probably building cases, which everybody knows takes time. But anyway, if there was anything that could restore some immediate faith into the FBI, whether it be Bongino, Patel, or the rest of the ilk over there, if they could do anything to restore it, I think coming down on this Karen Read investigation and kind of making it a public display might be something to get them that could save them a lot of face.
It could. That's a big if they decide to dip their toes.
But like, where does that rank on their like overall fucking scale of like what's important? Like, all right, well we got a dead cop. Yeah, we can't bring him back to life. So why are we going to rush this to the front? Like the girl's not in jail, so there's no real pressing need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But like we will eventually, but like we're not going to dump all our resources. You know what I mean? Like, but again, I don't think it's going to take. I don't think it would take much to get to the bottom of this case. Do you?
No.
Given what we know.
No, I don't think there is much that it would take to actually do it. The problem is, the people that will ultimately be in charge of doing it are likely tied to the system of people. Mm-hmm. That are
right
in charge, or are in charge themselves. So it's like,
that's why I think we need.
It's all going to lead back to some. It, like you said before, because this wasn't just like Canton PD. It was Canton. It was Boston. It was ATF, FBI. You have major branches here of law enforcement, and they're all somehow interconnected to this. And you don't think that somebody within that network, that vast network now, would try to stop this from happening? I mean, I think that's kind of why the case started in the first place. Let's just pin this on Karen.
Pin it on her and hope for the best.
Yeah, and who knows what the reason behind it was, but it could have been something very petty and spur of the moment, or it could have been with intent.
Right.
Like, did John O'Keefe know something?
Well, that's why I'm curious to know like where this goes from here. Like, what did John O'Keefe know? What did Karen Read know? Like, did Karen Read drop him off at that house knowing that something was going to happen?
Well, that's why this case shouldn't be closed. Like,
the case isn't closed.
It's now been determined.
Karen Read has just been acquitted. That's it.
Yes. So if she's acquitted, she's not guilty of that. Then what happened? We need to find out what actually happened.
Yeah, now because there's still a dead body on the lawn that needs to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm. And why did they sell the house almost as soon as they could? The dog was already gone. They got rid of their phones. At least a couple of them did. Like that night.
So did you see the people who bought the house are like fully cooperating?
Good
with everybody, and they're letting like journalists in, like people to come in, like take
and they didn't
pictures.
change anything. Well, did the previous residents, did they change anything? Did
they changed a bunch, but I guess these new owners had no idea that the murder took place at this house,
or potentially.
So right, which is like that's also like kind of like when it comes to real estate, like that's something you need to disclose. At least I think you have like 10 years before you have to disclose it, like until you don't no longer have to disclose it.
It was just somebody died there. At that point, it wasn't ruled a murder. So I think technically,
you're right, but I still think even then, I still think you have to disclose if anybody died on the property.
I don't know about that.
I think you do. I'm not. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's not. But like I know. So like 3 houses up from me, somebody was murdered in the house.
Well, yeah,
and the current homeowners. Well, actually, yeah, he was murdered in the house. The current homeowners don't know that, which is hilarious. But the guy who committed the murder, I've had on my cell block like several times. Like, I know him pretty well. He told me his address, and I was like, "Oh, the murder house." And he just looked at me like, "That was me." And I was like, "Oh shit, it all makes sense now." And because again, like people know where you're from and shit like that's not like a big secret, but it was just funny because I was like, "Oh, like I know that house," but it happened like 15 years ago. And up until a couple of years ago, the house was like dilapidated, like the roof was like falling off, like it was a Section 8 house, like I don't know. Anyway, I'll go into the details, but yeah, like well, I guess because the wife of the guy who committed the murder, or the girlfriend of the guy who committed the murder, owned the house, and the guy murdered the guy that was banging his girlfriend after the like whatever, and then he like buried him under the stairs for a couple of weeks and like left him there to rot. And
as tradition.
Yeah, it's this whole big thing, and it's actually a really fascinating story. It's funny because I guess he like picked up in Connecticut. There was a whole manhunt, like a high-speed chase, and whatever. And then you see him in prison. He's just like normal guy. You're like, oh, all right, like it's cool to me. Like you know what I mean? Never had a problem.
Wait, he did what?
Yeah, he told me the story. He's like, yeah, he's like, he goes, I didn't mean to kill him. He goes, it was just a blind fit of rage. I went over to get something out of the house, and he was there, and we started having words, and I just picked up a hammer, and I clocked him with it, and then that was it. I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, I didn't really mean to kill him, though. I was like, but you did. He's like, yep, that's why I'm here. So, whatever.
Yeah, ultimately, I did. Hey, you got me there.
Yeah, you got me there. He's like, I never said I didn't.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny, but I was like, I keep waiting to like run into these neighbors and be like, oh yeah, I know the guy. Yeah, like I don't want I'm not good friends with him, but like, but I know the guy who murdered the person. Like, and then one of my other neighbors was like, don't say it. He's like, because he knows the girl that lives there that bought the house. Like, I don't know if it's a husband or boy, whatever it is, but. He knows him, and he's like, he worked with him, and he's like, don't tell him that. He goes, the father told me they don't know anything about that, and
they got the place looking good, like my property value.
Yeah, it'll like totally freak the kids out. Like he's like, my daughter will lose her shit if she finds out somebody was murdered there.
Well, yeah, I don't think if because I've had like my mom, she chose to pass away on her own terms due to cancer.
Yep.
And she did within the comfort of her own place at the time, which was an apartment.
Yep.
That was rented, but I don't believe the landlord has to disclose that a woman died from cancer there.
That might be different. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just
if it's a crime, like if it was like an actual murder.
Right. And so you're right. So if this wasn't determined to be a murder at the time,
because people pass away in their homes all the time, and I don't think that really.
Yeah.
Does that matter if it's disclosed? It wasn't. It was a natural.
But I want to say, for some reason, I want to say it does. Like, even if it was an elderly couple and they're like, oh yeah, they died in bed holding hands. Like, I think you're supposed to still like disclose that. I don't know.
I don't think so.
But I think that, but there's definitely a statute of limitations on it. You know what I mean? Like the murder, I think is like 10 years. Like, if you sell the house within 10 years of the murder, you have to disclose it. After 10 years, you don't have to disclose it, which is weird to me because it's like. Still happened, you know what I mean?
Especially now where everything
there's still a body wrapped up in a
online.
fucking throw rug under the stairs. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh wait, where's this house we're looking at? Oh, Amityville.
Yeah.
What's the address on that?
Yeah. Why does this sound familiar? Didn't Eminem make a song about this? How'd that go again?
Like something about like demons.
mentally ill in Amityville. Why does that ring a bell? I don't know. Anyway, but no, you might be right. I mean, and so maybe that's it. But I guess like the new homeowners are like fully cooperating with anybody and everybody that wants to come over and like investigate and do stuff and like look for themselves. And like there's all sorts of pictures and videos coming out of like sheetrock being removed and. There's like what looks like blood on like concrete, but they're like, oh, it's paint that spilled. Look, it's the same color as the door, which they happen to paint blood red. like interesting choice.
It can still show up. Blood can get everywhere if it's spraying.
Trust me, it embeds.
Pull out baseboards even if you have baseboard like molding.
Once it gets in wood, it seeps into the wood and it's there forever. Like, you can't get rid of it. So. There are ways, but that's I think would go a long way towards restoring some faith into the FBI and the Department of Justice. Even though this would be a very small win, and people will be like, "Don't let this distract you from the fact they haven't released the Epstein list yet." It's like, yeah, no shit, dude. Like, obviously the Epstein list was either A, much more well covered up than we initially anticipated, or B, a lot of it was destroyed before anybody who with a actual spine got there.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot more legality going into fucking releasing it because, like, well, if we release this is going to be not because they're covering for people, but because it could open up a can of worms I don't think we realize. That's like one of those things. Remember when that say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube?
Yeah.
I think they're being very careful about that. Not because I think they're covering for people, but because I think that there could be some loose ends still to be. I don't know. We'll see. But nonetheless, but those people will always be forever and forever out there. But I think this could go a long way towards restoring some of that faith in the FBI. If they come out and they're like, we're going all in, we're going to find out who killed this Boston cop. And we're not going to arrest them until they're brought to justice.
I agree with your sentiment there, and what you'd like to see happen. I'm fully on board for that too. It's just I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Not soon. No, this will take months, years, whatever. It's going to take a while, I think. Because again, I would like to see
it happen under this administration, though. Like at least have them do it.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think that's very possible.
It's still early enough in this run, so.
And you got to remember too, like the heightened media awareness of this case now is going to put a lot of pressure on somebody to figure something out. Because people are going to be sitting there like, there's Netflix documentaries out there. Turtle Boy announced that we got a Netflix movie coming out. Like there's going to be a lot of shit coming out about this case.
There's going to be a book deal. There's going to be a movie.
Oh yeah, there already is. Those are already in the works.
Yeah, that was part of the agreement she had with her lead defense attorney. Like he was doing it pro bono because he was getting a cut of like the media rights.
They got to get Jeremy Renner to play Turtle Boy though. He looks just like him.
And he's doing well again.
Yeah. Yes, he's come a long way since he was torched by flamethrowers and 28 weeks later.
Well, I meant his real life injury where he got like hit by a snowplow.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. That's right. He was the one that got. Yeah, he got plowed. Literally.
Yeah, he almost died.
Yeah, that's right.
It was pretty bad.
That's unbelievable. Imagine getting hit by a snowplow. What a way to like almost die.
And for those injuries, he must have been getting either slammed into other shit, like just compacted by like more snow, or got like stuck underneath it and was dragged like.
Ugh. Either way,
I don't know exactly what. You don't want that.
Ugh.
That's French fried when you should have pizza.
Yeah. If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're not gonna have a good time.
Exactly.
Thanks, Thumper.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think this is gonna be again. I think it'll be uncovered eventually. It's just going to be a matter of how long.
It's going to take a while, but
and is it going to simmer? Is it going to? Are they going to let is it going to be one of those things they let it simmer down publicly?
Where too much time goes by, and
then then they're like, hey, guess who killed JFK? And we're like, we already know, and we don't care. So you guys know aliens are real? We're like, yeah, no shit, aliens are real. We don't need you to tell us that.
Well, it would be nice if all the rabid Karen Reed defenders now focus that energy towards justice for John O'Keefe.
But because ultimately that's the goal here, right?
Yes.
Like the ultimate goal is not. It's not about Karen Reed. Never. I mean, it was about Karen Reed to a degree, but ultimately the end goal was like
who was on trial. Yes.
Who killed this man? Like who decided to end this man's life that night? And
if it wasn't her, then who and how and why?
Yes, exactly. If not her, then whom? Because I think it was multiple.
Yeah. There's a lot of threads on the Pepe Silva board.
Yes.
It's all over the place.
It's yeah. I mean, I think I have a pretty good idea of what happened, but again, speculation is just that until it's proven. So we will see. But
let's see how it plays out. At least she is basically in the clear. At least of the major charges, she's absolutely clear. So
and again, it's always like I say, it always makes it a little more satisfactory when the person who gets like found not guilty is hot. So hot girl doesn't go to jail for murder.
She's got no ass and a weird Fall River accent, though.
Yeah, and a stinky balloon knot. Yeah, leaky balloon knot. Whatever. Oh well.
And she wasn't wearing underwears.
Still hashtag wood. It's like I wonder. I wonder who.
In like 8 or 9.
I wonder who she victory banged. Because she went out celebrating that night. She had you got to get laid, right? Like it's like victory.
If she wasn't already talking to somebody during this whole process, then probably the first guy that she.
Turtle Boy.
Come here, Aiden.
Turtle Boy's like, yes, this was my plan all along.
I'll show you what doesn't turtle up.
She's definitely a candidate. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, but she's not. I'm not kicking her out of bed, but also
she's not Sydney Sweeney or Anna de Armas.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. But she's not even like Natalie Portman hot. Like.
Yeah. Well, speaking of bombshells. This weekend, a funny little thing happened on my way to Iran.
I took a little detour. I was actually on my way to Sicily, and I took a detour over the Middle East.
I was like, you know what? Let's head a little bit further northeast, just a little bit, and
just a scotch.
See what's going on over here. Maybe drop a Moab. I don't know.
So obviously this whole thing like last week was building up because Trump was like Trump was being Trump, right? He was kind of being coy about everything. And it was pissing off everybody. I mean everybody. And I don't know when this new like I hate the term woke. I really do. Like it's just to me it just describes anybody who doesn't believe in something that I do. I don't know. Like it to me it's just a coverall. It's just like a blanket statement of like
it means just as little as them calling us Nazis or fascists.
Exactly. It's just a stupid fucking term, and this new term, the woke right, which I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. I guess which is like the woke right is now like the people that are like anti-Israel. Which I get, it's just a woke right to me. Just sounds like a different way of saying anti-Semitic or Nazi. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you have these people that are like so anti-Israel, and they're like, America's just Israel's pit bull, and we just do everything for them, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, so what? I'm like, it's a mutual working relationship. I'm like,
do these people not realize that not even Russia, who they think Trump has been in collusion with since day one, going back 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Given when the campaign started, they didn't even want Iran to have nukes. Like
nobody did. So the whole thing is from George Bush Senior to Bill Clinton to George Bush Little George to Obama. those have been the four presidents pretty much of my entire life since I've been old enough to like comprehend what a president was.
Yeah.
You know, I think Reagan was the president when I was born, but I didn't.
Yes.
Again,
Same,
I
but not. Yeah,
I was still shitting my britches at that point, so I didn't really know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
Those four presidents, they've all said the same thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. 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 Trump comes in. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Joe Biden. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Trump comes in for a second term. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. We took care of it. Outrage. Instant outrage. It's like, whoa, hold on. So for the last 36 years of my life, give or take, every single president has preached and pledged that Iran cannot and will not have a nuclear weapon. Okay, cool. We finally get a president that actually does something about it. You know, I mean, Obama did something about it. He gave him, $6 billion and a pallet of cash. It was owed to them. We owed it to them. It was their money. We just gave it back. Yeah, bullshit. And then
Biden agreement. Like what agreement? Like
yeah, and then how many billions did Biden unfreeze for the Iranians during his presidency? Or I mean Biden.
Yeah.
But all that Obama and Biden have done is help Iran on their way to building a nuclear bomb. They were like, I think they said they were at like the 60% enrichment rate for uranium, which is far surpasses anything that you need for like a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To run to make and then and like Marco Rubio said, he's like, they have a space program. What do you think? They're trying to go to the fucking moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM. And so what? Just put two and two together here. It's not that fucking hard. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a fucking duck. So we get this whole fucking thing last week, this whole build-up, and people are calling out Trump. I mean, you got Ted Cruz going on with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson's going hard in the pain at Ted Cruz, which I loved. I don't know if you watched that interview. That back
I saw some of the clips, yeah.
Between the two of them. But that was good because that was two pretty smart individuals on the same side of the aisle debating an issue that they vehemently disagreed on, which is what we need more of, right? Like we need smart people who disagree with each other to have debates over what the best course of action is for different situations. That's how things get done properly when we allow all people to speak on a certain issue, given their certain whatever degree of expertise on the topic.
Yes, it's a concept that's lost on pretty much everyone on the far left at this point, which is called civil discourse.
Correct.
Yeah, so, whether you're on the same side of the aisle or not, you should still be capable of having that.
Just because I vote Republican, right? Just because I voted for Donald Trump does not mean that I have to stand behind or agree with everything Donald Trump does. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. It's not how it's ever worked. But somewhere around 2008, politics became a team sport, and you were either all in for the team or you weren't on it. So that's where we're at now, and it's just been multiplied and amplified over the last 10 years since Trump became a permanent figurehead in this equation. This Iran thing. It was going back and forth. I mean, you have people on the road, Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro going at it with each other. And not for nothing. Like, listen. I'm not really a big. I'm not a. How do I say this without sounding like a total like I'm on the fence about it? I don't agree with everything Israel does. All right, I'm not all for it just because. They're Jews and the Holocaust and. They have to have this, and they're allowed to have this because of what happened to them from 1936 till 1945. Like, no. Like that's not where I lie on it. Now,
according to them, much longer than that. But
of course, yeah.
Yes, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you.
When you're kicked out of 190 something countries over the history of documented history, then. I don't know. Maybe it's like that girl that's like, all the good men. There's no good men left. It's like I just keep dating these guys, and they're all assholes. It's like, wow, all those good men that you dumped are all happily married and doing very well for themselves. What's the common denominator here?
So yeah, what you mean is basically, in summarization, any Taylor Swift breakup song.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Oh,
And
all these didn't work, but it's not my
but
fault.
it's not me.
What's
How
the
could it
common
be me?
denominator?
Yeah.
It's not me.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. You know, like so again, I'm not always in. I'm not always 100% in support of Israel. But what I will say is this. You know, especially, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I've probably said it 1,000 times on this show alone. In the short time we've been doing it, I draw the line at when you start parachuting into concerts and live streaming you raping, murdering, and maiming innocent people.
Yes.
Like that's sorry.
Mhm.
Like you know, Israel might not be. You know, they might not have my best interest in mind, but I know
You can acknowledge that that's wrong and
yeah,
shouldn't be
but you know who
tolerated.
definitely doesn't have my best interest in mind? Palestinians.
Mhm.
You know, the Muslim religion in general. You know, there's
the
7,000
Iranian
years.
regime, not the Iranian people, because
Right, the Iranian people tend to kind of like us, actually.
they
And if you go
are.
back to whatever 1979 and go look at some of the pictures of coming out of Iran, dude. Iran
It was
is
this-
some fucking bad, bro.
And they were living just like we were in the 60s of that era. That women were wearing dresses, no hijabs. They were driving cars everywhere. They had very good paying jobs. They had careers.
Which I always find it hilarious that all like these like crusty old white women that are like, we support Palestine, and I'm like, and Iran and the regime, and I'm like, aren't you a feminist?
Yeah. Or aren't you part of the...
that works goes completely against everything you just said.
Or
right?
aren't you part of the That's the funniest. The LGBTQ people.
Oh God.
Pro-Palestinian. Like
Yeah.
they will kill you.
LGBTQ plus for Palestine. Like, yeah. Go over there and tell them that, and let me know how that works out for you, Chief.
Yeah, let me know your review on the country as you're being tossed off that building.
Yeah. Live stream your face on the way down. I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can borrow my GoPro for it.
But the whole thing of like going up to last week was right. So you had Trump saying like, we might strike them with B2s, we might not. I don't know. And then you've got
he offered them ample time to surrender.
well,
like, hey,
he'd given him a 60-day window. He'd given a 60-day window.
yeah.
And on the basically 61st day, he was like, okay, deadline's over. And then he gave him, I think, another 2 weeks after that, after Israel started striking him. And it's been 12 days.
Yes.
And on the 12th day, he was like, yeah, now we're all set. We're going to just boom. And they send the B2s in, which is, you know, everybody knows the Freedom Dorito knows that's if a Freedom Dorito is flying over your country, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Then you ain't winning. And
they completely crippled multiple aspects of their military there.
Well, their
Obviously,
whole nuclear all their
program
nuclear
is-
facilities that were buried 300 feet under mountains
Mhm.
are gone, or at least at this point. They might not be completely gone because the Iranian state media is like, they didn't get us, and we're like, we got you.
Well, I mean, they're not
And if
saying
we
that
didn't
now.
get you all the way, we set you back a couple of decades at least.
Yeah, you guys are proper fucked. And then,
Yeah.
oh, well, shit. Looks like they're gonna retaliate, and they did, and those were shot down immediately.
Every single missile was shot down.
And then within 2 hours of that happening, maybe a little less than that, the ceasefire agreement
Yes.
was announced.
Yep, and Trump came out and announced a ceasefire. So, to basically just summarize what the whole point I was getting at, because I feel like we got kind of a little all over the place there. Last week you had both sides. You had two sides of the coin on the right. You had the neocons, the Ted Cruz's, and the Lindsey Graham saying, we got to go in. We want regime change. We got to fuck them up. Then you had the other side of the right that said, no, we voted for Trump based on no more foreign wars. We don't want to be involved in this. This isn't our problem. And then you had the left saying, well, Trump said he was going to take out their nuclear facilities, and it looks like he's not going to, because Trump always chickens out, right? Like that's always their thing. The taco.
Yeah, and then he does, and then they're like, oh, well, now we're in World War III.
And then he bombs them. And it's immediately you have the give me my impeachments. Where's my impeachments? You know, AOC and Liz Warren.
It's
and Ed
illegal. He
Markey.
went over Congress and said, we can get into that right now. No, he did not.
No, he did not.
War was not declared by Congress. War has not been officially been declared since June 5th on that fateful day for World War II, following Pearl Harbor. Since then, everything's been a conflict. We still refer to the Vietnam War as the Vietnam War. We still refer to the first Gulf War as the Gulf War.
Right.
But technically, they were not.
Right.
Now, if you want to ask about
the president,
congressional approval,
you're right. Congressional approval is required for some things, but a military conflict does not. That's not the same as a declaration of war. Which is again, like you said, the Vietnam War was not a declaration of war; it was a military conflict on paper. Now, go ask anybody who was over there. Was that a war? Yeah, it was a fucking war. You know,
absolutely, they will.
Remember Mr. Murphy, our history teacher?
Oh yes.
Who was a Vietnam vet. Yeah, go tell him, be like, Murph, that wasn't really a war, that was only a military conflict. And we'll be like, so when I'm holding my friend's intestines inside of his stomach, because he's been hit with an RPG, shrapnel from an RPG or something, does that not sound like a war to you? Like, trust me, I don't want to go down that dark rabbit hole. I would hate to conjure up those memories for any of those vets because it's not fair. But goddamn it, yeah, like the word game that especially the left is playing now is just fucking hilarious. And you have AOC, Jasmine Crockett. Did you hear Jasmine Crockett, by the way?
I cannot take her seriously. Like it's so hard to listen to her and be like, this is somebody who works in politics. Like.
Are we just completely done on the left with like decorum and trying to act
to sound like a professional?
Yeah, because when she comes out and she's like, President Trump could have hollered at us. Like that's a real thing. She said that.
Yes,
he could have hollered at us on Monday and axed us.
Well, that's how people talk, but that's not how you should talk in your position. Like
it doesn't matter if that's
have some decorum.
Yeah, it's not making you more relatable. It's making you more hateable. I don't like people that talk like that. Period. Because it just sounds you just sound uneducated.
I mean, it's on par with the people that go to court hearings where they're the defendant and they're in like pajama pants and like a basketball jersey.
Yeah,
it's the same. They talk the same. She might as well be wearing that while she's doing it, because that's how she's behaving. Like,
she is
somebody who's not taking this seriously at all.
She was put in this position. She found a soapbox and she's in the limelight right now. She's going to ride this for all it's worth. And that's all she is. Because she's a. If you go back and listen to her like 2 years ago, she didn't talk like this. She didn't. This whole like ghetto bravado that she's putting on is so fake. Like she grew up in the upper middle class. Like I mean high upper middle class, like upper class. She was not a fucking. She got driven to school in like Mercedes Benzes. You know what I mean? She didn't take a bus.
Yeah, it's just as laughable as Colin Kaepernick saying, "Oh, I'm a
slave, a modern day slave."
You were adopted and raised by super rich white people. Like, what the fuck are you talking?
Yeah, and then you went on to play in the NFL where you were paid millions of dollars to throw a football. Like, yeah,
you did pretty good until everyone figured out your goddamn how you operate, and then
don't even get me started on Colin Kaepernick. I mean, listen, anytime you lose your job to Blaine Gabbert, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody forgets how that timeline worked. Colin Kaepernick didn't start taking a knee for the anthem until he lost the starting job to Blaine Gabbert week 3 of the preseason, and then he started taking a knee and was just like, and that's like, this is how I'm going to stay relevant. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it was the only way to get attention because he wasn't the starter.
No, he lost his job.
He wanted a bigger contract, so he was like, yeah.
And not to shit on Blaine Gabbert. I'm not even saying Blaine Gabbert's a bad quarterback. But if you lose your job to Blaine Gabbert's a career backup. Let's call it what it is. That means you're not capable of being a backup in the NFL. That means you're not one of the. Which I mean,
maybe Vinny Testaverde was still playing back then, but that's like Testaverde taking your spot.
Yeah, if Vinny Testaverde came in and took your spot, it was a bad day. You know, that was not a good day for you. you were gonna have some problems, and that's fine. Listen. There's 32 individuals on any given Sunday that are good enough to play in the NFL at the quarterback position. That's it. 32
Just
in
to
the
be at
world.
that level is
32 in
even
the
to be a
world.
backup is a compliment because it's like, well, shit.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing. The best gig in sports was being Peyton Manning or Tom Brady's backup for years, because all you do is sit there and hold a clipboard and get paid $6 million a year to do it.
And you get a ring.
Yeah,
Depending if they win.
every get to be a part of some pretty cool shit. So anyway, the whole Jasmine Crockett thing is fucking hysterical. Because they just keep like the Dems like keep putting her out there, and her and like AOC seem to think like they're like the next like they're the up and comers now, and like you can
They're
kind of
young,
see
they're
like
women of color, they
yeah.
got progressive fucking ideas.
You got Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Liz Warren kind of like sweating a little bit, like oh no, like here come these dumb fucking bitches, like what the fuck? But they're gaining popularity. How are we gonna stop this?
Because they're the old guard.
Yeah. They're the crusty
regardless
old ones that haven't done shit for 35 years in their whole fucking career.
Well, let me tell you, both the old and the new are, to me, all decrepit ghouls. That's all that the
they're all
far-left
retarded.
That too, and they ignore facts out of irrational hatred towards Trump. And again, you don't have to like him. You don't have to like everything he says or does. You don't have to like anything that he says or does. That's fair. That's your right to do so. Fact of the matter is, not enough of those fucking clowns showed up on November 5th of this past year.
Nope.
A bunch of them showed up for his birthday, just not at his actual thing, and they're claiming that as like this huge victory. Oh, no King's Day was this. It was the biggest protest like nationwide in American history. It's like, well, what did you accomplish? It was just all these rickety old people, and
it was a bunch of crusty old white women
and sad young people. And that was those. We still have the LA stuff going on around that time as well. It has since died down, as far as I know. But,
I mean, we haven't heard much out of LA now since the National Guard and the Marines went in, which I don't think is really much of a shock.
I think it's because it's mostly handled at this point, and there's no real pushback by these protesters.
Right. I mean, I'll be celebrating No King's Day, 2 weeks from Friday.
Yes,
on the
absolutely.
actual No King's Day.
Same.
You know.
Absolutely. You know what else I find funny? A quick thing here is people protesting in England against Trump, and they're like, "This is No King's Day, right?" And it's like,
bro, didn't y'all have?
You guys literally have a king. I mean, granted, he has
king.
like no actual. He's a figurehead.
No.
But
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
in title have a king, like
Britain protesting the United States government is got to be the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like you want to talk
well,
about?
they finally admit that we're better than them.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck if you guys protest us. Like we told you how we felt 250 years ago, and told you to fucking kick rocks. So,
Yeah, and
what do you
pretty much since then,
like? Do you really think we give a shit that y'all are like we disapprove of what you're doing? We're like, yeah, cool. You've been disapproving of what we've been doing for 250 years, and guess what? All we've been doing is bailing your bitch asses out in world wars, and holding it down for everybody else.
Yeah, and for them especially too for quite a long time, up until now as well. Like, you unappreciated pricks.
Yeah, I mean, I got a 3-month chat ban on iRacing because I told a Brit that if I gave a flying fuck about what a Brit thought about me, I would fucking kill myself. And that we told you how we felt in 1776, and that's all that needs to be said. And I got a 3-month chat ban for that.
It was probably the kill yourself part that did it.
No,
even though you said on yourself.
No, when I went and appealed it, they were like, xenophobia will not be tolerated. We have a worldwide base of users, and we will not tolerate xenophobia.
Oh, that's such a
really.
Speaking of blanket terms, like that's such a blanket
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
I could have sworn, like, they could have said, like, nah, man, like, you joked about killing yourself. Like, we can't take that. That's going to be taken seriously, and blah, blah, blah. And I almost would have been, like, somewhat understanding of that, even though, I would, you know, it was self-deprecating. But, like, dog, no. And I know exactly who it was that reported me, too, so I have his name down. I have a little list of people that I keep on my phone.
Blacklist.
Yeah, blacklist. That it's like some have the initials WOS next to their name, which is wreck on site, which means like it doesn't matter if it's the pace lap. I'll just go 150 miles an hour straight into their ass. And just
there you go. You're like, oh, they're in this lobby. Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'll do the old Tom Cruise from Days of Thunder, like change my tires. Why? The race is over. Said change my tires.
Like son of a bitch.
Yeah. So yeah, but no one gives a flying fuck about the Brits. Like if there is one country that I couldn't like, I can't take their opinion seriously anymore. It's Brits.
I'd give them, and I'd also say France as well.
At least France tried to fight back a little bit, like the people did. Like they tried to fight back when and didn't they throw the dude in jail there? That was running against the current.
Maybe I know a little bit more about like Ireland right now with their pushback on all the
Ireland's pushing back
legal
hard.
immigrants. Yes, they're
led by
going full fucking.
There's only
IRA
one Conor
on there.
McGregor.
Yes. They're at least doing it right in terms of like the public outcry for the right reasons. It's the polar opposite here, where people are fighting for illegals that are a tax burden on everybody, and potentially criminals of any kind of sort. They're putting them before actual citizens that are here legally and earned it.
Yes.
And that's when they always leave out the term illegal whenever they're regarding ICE and immigration. They're just ripping families apart and blah, blah. They're illegal immigrants. Well, this guy's parents were here for 30 years and he was born here, but his parents have been here for 30 years and
cool. Were they
getting deported?
Legal citizens? No.
Oh wait, you mean they had 30 years
to do that and you still didn't? So
my sympathy goes out the window after it's been like a few years. Like, what are you doing? You're not even trying then.
Yeah, my empathy tank is running on empty. For a lot of these issues. And I don't see it refueling anytime soon. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm drained on a lot of it as well. Like most of it at this point, to be honest.
People are like, you don't feel bad for the children of Gaza who are getting bombed by these Israelis? And I'm like, nope. No, I don't. Bomb them all.
I also don't feel bad for the Palestinians.
Because that 8-year-old right now, that 8-year-old Palestinian right now, in 8 years or 8 years when he's 16 years old, will be firing RPGs at innocent civilians or perish trooping into a fucking concert in Israel and raping and murdering people and this dude might no they're fucking savages and I don't care. I have no apologies for it. I have no patience for people who are completely backwards in their ideologies, their religions, the way they handle other people who agree or disagree with them. I'm all set, dude. Like I just my patience is so non-existent for that shit. That like while I do feel bad, like obviously like murking a fucking a station wagon full of like 8-year-olds would not make me feel good at night.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, war is not here to make you feel good. It's called self-preservation. And if one of those little shitbirds grew up and decided to fly a plane into a World Trade Center, and because that drone strike didn't allow that to happen, so be it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing here is that if Trump didn't do anything, and let's say hypothetically, Iran did launch a nuke at Israel or anywhere else in the world, successfully, or even partially successfully.
Could you imagine if Iran nuked Tel Aviv? I mean, and here's the other part of this that we haven't even brought up, and probably the biggest part of this whole equation is that if Iran was allowed to get a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia, the Turks, I forget all the other countries in that region were like,
Israel,
okay,
Lebanon.
Israel, like, yeah, they're all like, okay, well, if Iran gets a nuke, we need a nuke because we need protection against their nuclear. Like, we need to have that mutually assured destruction. Fall back. So if they launch at us, we launch at them. Nobody wins. You know what I mean? Like, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is that if Iran, they're like, well, what do we care if Iran gets a nuclear weapon? Like, what do we care? It's not our war. It's all the way over there. They're not going to. What do you think they're going to nuke New York from here? You know? And I'm like, well, yeah, eventually they could send an ICBM into the stratosphere and actually nuke something 7,000 miles away. Sure, they could. But no, that's not the point. The point is that if they get one, everyone else in the region needs one. And now you have the most volatile area of the world, all with nuclear weapons pointing at each other. How do you think that's going to fucking go over when somebody's just like, you know what? I declare a jihad on you. Boom. Tel Aviv is gone. Now what do you think Israel's going to do? They're going to launch their nukes. And then Egypt's going to launch theirs. Then Lebanon's going to launch theirs. And Saudi Arabia's going to launch theirs. And now we have a nuclear fallout. And now the whole world is fucked. Because these fucking heathens can't figure out the fact that, you know, they're still hung up on Sunnis and Shiites. Like, give me a fucking break.
Ancient fucking beefs.
There's 7,000 years behind the rest of the modern world. I'm sorry. It's just, it is what it is. Like, if you can't see that for what it is, then that's where your empathy and your emotion get in the way of your decision making and your rational thinking.
Yeah, and organized religion of any type can lead to that. That's why.
Yeah, but I don't remember anybody in any. I don't remember any pope being like, you know what? The Vatican needs nukes. Because you know.
Well, I mean, if they had them during the Crusades, they absolutely would have.
Yeah, but the Crusades were sweet. You know why? Because they were trying to snuff out the Muslims. I mean, it's the one holy war that I agree with.
Look, again, I don't have a dog in any of those fights, but
no,
I can agree morally.
I don't consider myself a religious person at all.
I can at least agree morally with that, though. Like, yes.
But the Crusades were one thing. But the thing is, Catholicism evolved out of that. They came out of the Dark Ages and the Crusades and came into their own. We're like, okay, you know what? Like, instead of killing people,
we're just gonna rape kids now and come.
Yeah, we're just gonna molest little boys and screw people over for money. Like, that's cool, right? You guys are cool with that? We're like, yeah, whatever, bro.
We're gonna go to this wicked cool place called Boston. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, trust me, kid. You're gonna love it. There's so many little boys.
They're gonna make a movie out
of
all the shit.
Oh yeah, tons of little Irish boys for you to touch. Lots of sword fighting.
Lots of swordsies, kid.
Lots of swordsies, kid. You know. Just tell them to shut the fuck up. They'll be fine. You know. Their father was an archdiocese.
Yeah, yeah. He almost made cardinal, but
Yeah. Their father was a choir boy for years. He lives for the church, you know. He's got a rosary in his fucking living room.
He's got one somewhere else too, but he can't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's why we get this. The wine, not exactly wine. It's like the Jose Cuervo wine. It's half vodka. You know. Gets these kids feeling real good. Little Spanish fly, little Bill Cosby, little hot Cosby action in there.
Little hot Cos. It's like a hot toddy, but with rape.
Yeah. It's a rapey hot toddy.
Hot Cosby, yeah. You see.
You ever go back and listen to Bill Cosby talking about like Spanish fly? Like, go Google Bill Cosby.
I think I did after, like, shortly after.
Bro, he was literally fucking bragging during his stand-up about fucking date raping women. It's insane. The biggest serial rapist of all time.
At least in comedy.
No, I think he's the biggest serial rapist ever. Like,
well, at least legally document, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this dude. I mean, if there's more serial rapers out there, like maybe Diddy might be up there. We'll see.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even before this was all
that whole thing's kind of fallen quiet, a little more quiet than I would like it to be.
But people in those positions, it's more understandable how they could get those like Wilt Chamberlain numbers. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Because of their fame. If it's like a serial killer or something like that, no, the numbers are going to be low.
Right. But yeah,
It's
when you're
much lower
famous,
than
it's like
celebrity.
yeah, everyone wants to hang out with celebrities, and then you get drugged and raped by them. Wait, did that really happen? And it's like,
They
wait,
got
you
a
had to
whole
drug
video
him and rape him. Like
him,
they were probably going to sleep with you anyway. Like I don't
There's
know.
no
I don't
other
know.
way that the woman can take my pudding pop. You see, the thing is, you gotta get it cold before you put it in.
Oh, he's such a fucking vile human being. To think he was like America's sweetheart at one point too.
He was. Him and Bob Saget were like America's dads. It was
Well,
like
Bob Saget's still a fucking legend. So
yes.
we haven't heard anything bad about Bob Saget yet. So that's good.
No, not in that sense at all.
No.
No, he just ironically became like a filthy comic, and his shit was funny.
Fucking hilarious.
It worked.
And it was great
yeah,
because it was the polar opposite of what we'd expected it to be.
Exactly, because he's Danny Tanner and also Bob Saget, host of the America's Home Funniest Home Video.
The cleanest like home video show of all time.
Yeah, and now
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
out there saying, cunt and like.
Have you ever sucked dick for coke? That was still
that was
funniest
just in
shit. Yeah, that was still like the funniest thing I could because that was the first time I'd ever heard him say anything like that. And then I think I saw his stand up like after that. And when he was like, "Have you ever sucked dick for coke?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Yo, they got
because
Danny Tanner sucking dick for coke. Of course, only
You ever
Dave
sucked
Chappelle
dick
can
for
pull
weed?
that off.
Well, no. Yeah, I didn't think so. He sits right back down.
And also sucking dick for coke. I mean, maybe like heroin or meth, but like coke? Really? Sucking dick for coke? Like, you that bad? You that down?
Maybe if he was doing it like right when it hit like America, like proper, when it was still like super expensive.
Maybe. Yeah,
Like in the
early
70s.
80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. Rich white
In the
people
80s,
drugs.
when they started to realize that they could cut it down, then it became more affordable because now they have more volume. And
nothing like a little Peruvian
little
face fuel to get you to put a phallus in between your lips. You know.
a couple of nose beers amongst friends.
Yeah. It's just it's the way of the world.
Not saying it gives you great ideas or anything,
But it definitely gives you more wings than Red Bull.
that's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, this whole thing. Now it turns out, all the people that were crying earlier today. Oh, he's gotten us into World War III. It's literally a war again. They don't understand how declaring war works. And
Nope.
then they were like, oh, well, wait till Iran retaliates. Well, they did, and it didn't work. And
that fell flat on his
within
face, and we were like, the people don't understand. Like, do you know that we sent? I don't know if it was a ship-based missile or an air-to-ground missile, but we literally just blew the front gate off a prison in Iran to allow the prisoners to escape. And it's like they just blew the front gate off. Nothing else. They're like, we're gonna send this little missile.
All right, boys.
Big enough to blow the gate away so that the prisoners can run out. And that's it. Imagine being the Iranians and they're like, they just fucking decided to blow the gate off the fucking from how far away? Oh, fuck this. We are in way over our heads, boys. We gotta fucking throw the white flag up. It's over.
Yeah.
They're just fucking toying with us now. Like that's the beautiful thing about the U.S. military. And that's one reason why whenever we have these bills that go through and they're like, well, the spending on defense is insane and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know how expensive it is for a B-2 to drop those bombs on, to prevent nuclear holocaust?
Yeah, you know how expensive
it's not cheap.
those bombs are? Like it.
Yeah, those bombs would pay off about 6 kids' college tuitions.
Again, the same people that were mad that Trump quote unquote started World War III and went above Congress's head and, overreach of power and blah, 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 broke the law, it's illegal. They would have said if he didn't do anything in Iran, as you had said, hypothetically, if they nuked Tel Aviv, they would have said, well, why didn't Trump do anything? They would say the exact opposite. They just go against anything that he is in favor of doing or, being all about in general.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what he says. They're against it. It's an old meme from like almost 10 years ago now. If Trump said, I love oxygen, liberals would stop breathing.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're and that's the sad part. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
They are such this brain dead hive mind. It's so obvious to people that can look at things objectively. It's just they don't. So
they don't look at it objectively. They don't care. They don't want to look at it objectively because it's detrimental to their cause. And
it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right.
And their narrative is fucking stupid. Like really fucking retarded.
It really is. It really is.
And it has gay AIDS.
Gay super AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm purchasing a track because I have to run a race here in a little bit. And I didn't realize I don't have this track.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we are at an hour 28.
Good show. That was a good pull.
That
was a good pull.
Yeah, I think
that was a good pull.
That
was a good pull. Yeah.
We definitely, avoided our normal preamble.
Which
I do enjoy.
I do too.
We had to get to business tonight. We had things that we needed to talk about.
Next week we'll talk more about it. But I have been on the biggest Sepultura kick of my life. I don't know why. I think it was. I think Dead Embryonic Cells came on while I was cutting the grass the other day, or I was at the gym. I can't remember which one. And that breakdown at the end just had me wanting to run over baby bunnies with my lawnmower.
And you're like, I gotta go back to this. So
yeah, and then it just
listen to Roots. I'm sure
it just turned into a whole big thing. And but yeah, what a fun kick it's been.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to discover music that you know about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all the music you know. But it's so much fun to know, man, I can go back and listen to this whole catalog of songs, and I already know I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, that's like
it kicks fucking ass. It's like Christmas every day. It's like, this is fucking great. It's like if you could go back and like Men in Black yourself and just be like, your taste isn't gonna change.
To hear it for the first time,
but you're gonna get to hear everything for the first time again. You're like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yes,
like
that's a cliche, but yes, I agree. Like, there's certain ones that I don't listen to from front to back anymore, just because, streaming is much more pervasive. So it's just like, I just put everything on shuffle.
Right.
But,
same.
Like Deftones' White Pony had its 25th anniversary over the weekend.
I saw that.
And I listened to it again for the first time in years from front to back, and I was like, God damn it, it still holds up. And it took me back to basically, like the first time I heard it.
Right. Yeah, it's like I listened to I don't know how to hearing something for the first time. It's like when you lose your virginity. Like
well, you're not processing everything at the properly.
Yeah. It's like losing your virginity is like listening to Rain in Blood for the first time. Like, it's got a sick build up. You know it's gonna be awesome, but you have no fucking idea what the fuck is about to happen. And then it happens, and it's just like noises. And you're like, holy shit, what the fuck? And it's like, this is fucking incredible. What the fuck just happened? You wake up and your shirt's on backwards and missing your arms out of the wrong hole, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got your head through an armhole, and
and you're just like, holy shit, that was great. Can we do it again? And you're like, yeah, we can.
Yeah, in fact, there's a whole lot of other bands that are going to be just as confusing to you right now.
Yeah, and guess what? It only gets more fun each time you do it after this.
Yeah, because then you understand it all a little bit more.
Yeah, And then you understand the mechanics of it, and that's when it really gets fun. And then you can really start having some fun with it.
Then you're gonna have like neck problems and like arthritis and bad legs.
Yeah. And then then you're gonna have to go back to like you have to go back to like your Bob Dylan days, you know.
Hand,
All right. I know we want to throw on some Slayer tonight, but can we just do some? Can we just throw on like the Verve?
The Verve.
Can we put on some Oasis? You know, not really feeling.
Yeah. Anyway, brother, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah. So anyway, here's a song called Wonderwall. Oh wait, never mind. This is Glycerine by Bush. I don't know. It's all the same chords.
It's same lyrics too, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Same goddamn band too.
I know. Fucking wild. But, all right, Chad, we'll leave it there, bud. That was fun.
Yes, absolutely. Good to be
I'm
back.
sure we'll have nothing to talk about next Tuesday either.
I mean, what could possibly happen?
Monday.
Another ceasefire? Because again, that's the second one negotiated.
Yeah,
at least.
I mean, people keep underestimating this. Like the ultimate goal of this was to have no boots on the ground and a ceasefire between the two sides, and that's exactly what we got. Oh, and Iran doesn't have nuclear capabilities anymore, as far as we know. So, I mean, sounds like win-win-win for the United States.
It's fucking double whammy.
Triple whammy.
Triple whammy.
Love it.
Absolutely, man. It's
all right,
great
bud.
to be here in America.
In greatest country on the fucking planet, baby. Can't even make it up. All right, bud. I'll see you next Monday.
Indeed. Thank you, folks, for watching, and yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
Later.
Peace.